That's it, ladies and gentlemen. The Reds have gone to Budapest, got a handy 2-0 victory against a very good Leipzig side. I am joined by Jack Gill for some immediate match reaction. That's it. That's a bit more like it, Jack. That's a bit more like a fella.
Huge. Absolutely huge, Craig. I was on the team news reaction before the game, and I said, I felt different tonight. I felt different before the game. I felt optimistic. Going into the game, we'd been on the back of poor form, a few poor results. Against Leicester, we looked better, but, individual mistakes let us down. But tonight was a fresh start, a different competition, a competition that, we love and we have fond memories of. We were knocked out too early last season. We were too good for the stage that we ended up getting. We came against a very good, well-drilled Atletico Madrid side, and we were unlucky at Anfield before. In that last game, I attended the last game with fans in stadiums, and I felt like we needed to show something tonight with our performance, and that's exactly what we did. And there were so many better individual performances on the pitch tonight, and as a team, we were just so much better. I thought Mo Salah was incredibly bright. Jordan Henderson, I'm sure we'll speak about him in a moment, but I can't wax lyrical enough about Jordan Henderson at the moment. He deserves so much.
I can see from you, mate, you're struggling not to smile. I feel the very same way. It's just pride beaming at the minute, mate. Just beaming.
Absolutely. This is what I've wanted to see from Liverpool for the last few weeks. And when I've come and I've criticised this Liverpool side, it's not because it's not because I'm angry at the Liverpool side. And yeah, I have been a bit angry, but what's been the most upsetting in the last few weeks is we know that this Liverpool side can show us what they did tonight. We know they could show us more, and that's exactly what they did tonight. It was a good, well-drilled, well-managed performance. And yes, at times we relied on a couple of Leipzig mistakes, but it was so much better, and there was so much better individual performances on the pitch. Thiago was a lot better. Curtis Jones, outstanding once again. Henderson, phenomenal at the back. Ozan Kabak, wow.
Preach, Jack, preach.
I'm absolutely buzzing, Craig, and this is the perfect performance ahead of the Merseyside derby on Sunday, and let's fucking have it, mate.
Let's fucking have it indeed, Jack. Why not? Let's go right back to the team selection. Ideally, we would have liked Hendo in midfield, but away from home in Europe, you can understand what the gaffer went with Kabak alongside Henderson, and it worked. It's fair to say it worked, mate. I was delighted. That midfield trio was exactly what I wanted to see. We knew that James Milner was out of action for this game, so if Hendo wasn't going to be in midfield, you wanted to see Thiago, you wanted to see Gini and Curtis Jones, and as you said, Curtis Jones was all over that pitch. His youthful energy, enthusiasm, and sheer not giving a fuck about the occasion just shines through, man. He is just one hell of a good footballer.
Absolutely, mate. Every time Curtis Jones is put on the pitch, he puts in a fantastic performance at the moment. Against West Ham, he was a bit shaky, and that's where we saw him lose his place. He had a string of starts before that, but he lost his place after that. And since then, when he's had his chance, when he's had his starts and he came off the bench against West Ham and completely changed the game, he's been phenomenal and he deserves respect. This guy is 20 years old. 20 years old. He came through as a left winger or stroker number 10. And the way he's changed his game, he's become a typical Klopp under 8. He's a phenomenal player, a phenomenal talent. We're so lucky to have him. And once again, he was outstanding tonight. Thiago, a lot better. This is what we want to see from Thiago. This is the player we were expecting from Thiago. And tonight, that is what we got. Jordan Henderson at the back, like you said, we wanted him in midfield tonight. We did. There's no doubt we had gained so much from having Jordan Henderson in midfield. But tonight, I said before the game, having him alongside Kabak, he's there for a reason. His leadership, guiding a 20-year-old Kabak who has a lack of Champions League experience, had a shaky debut through. Maybe though it wasn't his fault with the second goal, it was still shaky nonetheless. But tonight it was outstanding, and Kabak and that Kabak Henderson partnership was phenomenal tonight. And as I say, I'm sure we'll talk about it in a moment. But Jordan Henderson, wow.
I know people are saying to me, and it happens all the time, that my camera's not coming through great on StreamYard. I don't know what it is about StreamYard. I don't know what it is. My camera doesn't come through. As long as you can hear me, folks, that'll do me for this one. Jack's there for the good-looking fella. You can see the camera. That's all we need to worry about. But as you said, Jack, that was a performance of confidence that if we can bring that into the Premier League, and by the way, we can't not touch on the other game that went on tonight. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But to go away from home, first thing you want is an away goal. And we were lucky fortunate in the first 6 minutes when they hit the post with a good move. We warned all week about Angelino down that left-hand side, and inside the first 6 minutes, mate, he set up a good opportunity and they hit the post.
Yeah, the way the game started, I was quite worried because, we knew the threat of Leipzig. We knew what they did to Manchester United. They started the game really well. And, they hit the post early on. I thought at first it was a lovely save from Alisson, but the replay suggested otherwise. It literally just hit the post. And, I think all night they threatened Leipzig, but I thought defensively we were sound. And it was one of those performances where, we seemed to dominate, but it doesn't suggest that Leipzig didn't threaten, because they did at times. But we rode the storm well. We attacked well. We exploited their vulnerabilities at the back. I thought Upamecano looked an absolute mess tonight. And I've said in the past, I wasn't too convinced on Upamecano. I think he's a good player. He's young, obviously. Of course, he's good on the ball. But he is shaky a lot of the time, and we saw that tonight, and we exploited it. And 2 individual errors from Leipzig, and we've come away with a 2-0 win, and it's a massive result for us. It's a massive performance from us. And as we said, we've spoke all week, Craig, about the timing of the Merseyside derby. It is now absolutely the perfect timing. And I said in the podcast, a little spoiler for the podcast, I expect a big win against Everton at the weekend. A big, big, big win. I think
for those that haven't listened to it, I mean, when he says big, big, big win, wait till you hear what he's predicted in the podcast, folks. He's not messing.
And I think we've set it up perfectly with the performance tonight. And the lads, after a recent slump of performances, will go in on a high. And I'm absolutely ecstatic tonight, Craig. That is what I needed. That is what us Liverpool fans needed. That win. I was dying for a Liverpool win, absolutely dying. And this is our competition. I was optimistic before the game. We've gone in, we've won it. 2-0 win away from home. We know how big those are in the Champions League. And we'll take them back to Anfield. And let's, wow.
Let's
Craig,
be having it again, Jack. Come on, let's be having it. Yeah, doubt us now. Doubt us now. I love it. Looking at the bench, I was a little bit worried, mate, when I was looking at the bench today, because it's fair to say, yes, we had a little bit of experience on there, but nothing maybe outside of Shaqiri that I would call an absolute game changer. Chamberlain, when he came on, again, he just doesn't look himself, but I'm not going to dwell on the negative. What I want to get back to, and I want everybody in the chat as well to give this man some love, Alisson Becker. First 2 minutes, second half, Hendo allowed his man to get in goal side of him. It was a not well-timed ball, but our big, beautiful Brazilian goalkeeper came out and made another huge save for us, mate. And that can't be understated. What this man does for our football club is truly remarkable.
Craig, that's what he does. I pointed out against Leicester, he made that error. And, as a goalkeeper, he felt it more than anyone else on the pitch when anyone else makes errors. All our players have been making errors recently. But when Alisson makes an error, he pays more than anyone else in the team. And that's what happened with that second goal against Leicester. Straight after that, he made a world-class double save. Not many keepers make double saves like that. And tonight, when called upon, he was outstanding. That save at the start of the second half was absolutely huge. And that's one of the key points of the game. And I think in distribution tonight, there were times where Alisson was shaky, but I expect that with what's happened at the minute. And hopefully tonight was a big confidence booster for him, just like it was probably a big confidence booster for the lads. And, we go into that Merseyside derby at the weekend against a side where we were hard done by at Goodison. We should have won it late on. There was a daft VAR decision that hurt us. They hurt us with a couple of poor tackles and injuries. And, Pickford should have been sent off and he wasn't. And we want revenge at the weekend. And this is the perfect boost ahead of what is a huge game against Everton. It's a huge game at the weekend. And we as Liverpool fans and the players will go into that on a boost and on a high. And because Everton aren't good enough to be in Europe, they go on into it off the back of a 2-0 defeat to Fulham.
Oh, I love it. Low blow to Everton as well, mate. I love it. Declan, mate, I know you said please contact us, mate. If you want to contact us, I promise you the email address, contact@AnfieldAgenda.com. One of us will get back to you on there, buddy. I just brought it up on screen in case it was something that was very important. Yeah, look, that was the perfect European performance, Shaq. We went away from home. You wanted a goal. Keeping a clean sheet is massive. I've got to be honest. I expected us to concede away from home tonight. I mean, the way both sides played, that first half was one of the more entertaining 0-0s that I've watched for 45 minutes in a long time. I mean, we've both had chances. I'm looking at the replay now of the opening goal for Mohamed Salah. It was a mess from Leipzig's point of view. Sabitzer plays it They slip and Salah doesn't care. Gives Galaxy the eyes and bang, bottom corner, mate, 1-0. And Mo does it again in the big moments.
You see, the thing is, Craig, in recent weeks, that first decision in the first half where we scored, Bobby Firmino, that would be something at the end of the game that would have hurt us because we wouldn't have created many chances. We would have ended up dropping points, and that would have been a big turning point in the game. I'm not convinced that ball was out. I honestly think it was in. I don't think the whole ball was out of play. But instead of that, we didn't let our heads drop. We came out the second half. We exploited their weaknesses. They were a mess at the back. Leipzig in possession. They gave the ball away loads. They played into our hands. I thought Curtis pressed really, really well. Mohamed Salah I thought was on top of his game today. There was some really nice things from Firmino and Sadio as well. And yeah, we've come away victorious, mate. And I've not been able to say that for a couple of weeks, and it's such a good feeling. And we've missed that for the last few weeks. And it wasn't just that tonight, Craig. It's not like we've come away with a lucky 1-0 and though Leipzig had their chances, it was a much better performance from Liverpool tonight. And that is more like it. That is what we want to see more often. And as I say, we go into the Merseyside derby at the weekend like that, and we'll start to see Liverpool back, and it'll be really nice.
Same team for you to start on Saturday?
Why not? There's no need to change it. I think we both want to see Hendo back in the midfield, and if Fabinho's fit, then that changes my mind. We'll want to see Fabinho probably partner Kabak and Henderson move forward to the midfield, or if Klopp likes that trusty back four at the moment that has got a clean sheet tonight and decides to put Fabinho just in front of them instead. Fair play. I think having the boost of having either Henderson or Fabinho in that midfield for the weekend would be absolutely huge. I think Thiago will want redemption after what happened to him from Richarlison. I think City have a tough game tomorrow night. They don't have Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We don't know if he'll be back for the Merseyside derby. It's going to be a big game at the weekend, Craig. Let's not underestimate it. Everton are closer to us than they've been for the last few years. They'll want it. They'll probably favour coming to Anfield than they ever have before. Last season when they came to us in the FA Cup and they lost to our kids, they'll probably go into the game like that. But
who did they lose to, Jack? Sorry, just remind me again. Who did they lose to?
Just our kids, mate. Nothing. Just our under 20.
Okay, fair enough.
Just a piece of brilliance from Curtis Jones. But it's one of them where we go into the game at the weekend now. We could have, tonight was a huge game, not just because we want to focus on the Champions League now that we're out of the title race, but for that game at the weekend. We wanted to go into it on a high, not on the basis of results recently, and now we do. We've gone into it on a really nice performance in Budapest. They'll probably get smacked by City tomorrow night.
Which you're doing, by the way, for people watching. Jack's going to be hosting a watch along of that on Mundo Sport tomorrow, so he's going to be our eyes and ears, keeping an eye out for everyone. But Jack, look, loads of people in the chat are asking about Ozan Kabak, who obviously made his European debut tonight for the Reds and did not put a couple in the first half. One pass that was intercepted and a little niggly touch, but other than that, he lived up to his name, the Turkish Wall. He was fantastic.
Yeah, so much better from Kabak. I don't think before, obviously, the little judgment error between him and Alisson for the second goal. He didn't really put a foot wrong against Leicester, but I don't think they had too many chances. And then a lot of people question his pace for the third goal. But I've said so many times, though, you can question his pace and his positioning for that third goal. Trent's positioning was a mess too. And it was just we were a mess as a team in the build up to that third Leicester goal. Tonight, he was outstanding. He was helped by the perfect guidance, support, leadership of our wonderful skipper. But as a player from Kabak, he showed me so much bright signs tonight. And as I say, I am so confident now that once we have Henderson or Fabinho back in the midfield, that we'll start to see more of what we've expected from Liverpool over the last few years. Because Ozan Kabak tonight, I thought was very, very, very good. And it's one of them where we look at it, it's only his second performance in a Liverpool shirt, but it gives us a lot of hope for the future for Ozan Kabak. And a lot of people were worried when he signed. We don't have any obligation to buy. It's just an option to buy at the end of the season. It was a low risk sort of transfer. and it looked like a good deal. But now we know that there is a player inside Ozan Kabak as well, from what we've seen tonight, and hopefully he can keep it up from now to the end of the season. And you know what, Craig? There is nothing I want more than Kabak to earn a permanent transfer to Liverpool. You know, a lot of people are pointing to David Alaba and saying, let's sign him in the summer. A lot of people want, you know, a big centre-back signing, and so do I. You know, there is nothing I would love more than Koundé in the summer. But if Ozan Kabak can earn a permanent position in a Liverpool shirt, I think that would be absolutely huge. And I think he wants that. You know, he's come to this club. He's come on a short-term loan basis. He's come to one of the biggest clubs in the world. And there is nothing he will want more than to earn a permanent transfer. And hopefully he can perform like he did tonight from now till the end of the season.
Let's not forget, he's still a very, very young centre-back as well. And as you said, the deal that was done to take him, we have an option of 18 million quid. We are paying a loan fee. I think that 18 million could rise up a bit, but he's got a chance to play for his place, and that's just great business by Edwards. I want to circle back around, and I want to have a little talk about our manager. All week in the build-up to the game, there was a lovely banner put outside Anfield in support of Jurgen Klopp. We've seen in his press conference, he was very clear-headed, very focused, said that because of all of his years in management, he's able to compartmentalise his feelings between his real life and his football life, and that would have meant a lot to him today. Those players went out there tonight, and they reminded that manager why we won the European Cup, why we are the team that we are. We played like we had swagger. Look, it was almost like night and day, mate, from what we've seen recently. Now, you did touch early on about Leicester. We played a very good first 70 against Leicester, but then capitulated. But we never looked for 1 second, mate, tonight like we were going to fall apart.
Nah, just on Jurgen Klopp, you know, there's, apart from my dad, there's not a man that's had the effect on my life that Jurgen Klopp has had. You know, the things he's done to this football club, the happiness he's brought me, is just incredible. And you know, I think nobody that is a proper Liverpool fan has questioned him in the last few weeks. You know, we've had a tough patch. There's been decisions that he's got wrong, and every Liverpool fan will openly say that. But you know, to see some people calling for his head, I think is absolutely ridiculous. And you know, seeing those rumours in the week, I honestly shed a few tears because he's an outstanding manager and he's turned this football club around. And, you know, he's been such a good thing for Liverpool Football Club in the last few years. He's bought us our 6th Champions League. He's bought us our first title in 30 years. And listen, what we've gone through at the minute is undoubtedly a dip in form. And yes, we're going through a stage where maybe we need a bit of a transition, and maybe we need a few fresh faces within the squad. But there is no man I want us to get through this phase more than Jurgen Klopp. You know, you can bring any manager in the world in, and I wouldn't care. It wouldn't be Jurgen Klopp. And you know,
I shit myself, mate. I shit myself when that rumor went around. And I want to give a shout out to Guardiola actually for a nice touch of class today. Actually, when he was speaking and sympathising with Jurgen and saying that City had a similar situation last year, that they had their blip. You cannot maintain the levels that City and Liverpool have been going at consistently over the course of 4 or 5 years, mate. It's near on impossible.
Absolutely, and you know, Pep Guardiola is a classy manager. You know, we have you know, the competition with him because he's at City. You know, our biggest rivals for titles year on year at the moment, and that's why there's the rivalry. But every Liverpool fan outside of what's going on at the minute will respect Pep Guardiola and how much of an outstanding coach he is. And you know, we think Jurgen Klopp is better because we're Liverpool fans. We're Jurgen Klopp fans. But you can't not respect Pep and what he's done to Man City since being there. You know, he's revolutionised English football in the same way Klopp has, and it's nice to see that he, you know, besides the little banter and the little mind games between the two of them, there is the utmost respect, and I have no doubt that Jurgen Klopp would have done exactly the same for Guardiola if the shoe was on the other foot. But you know, focusing on tonight's game, Craig. It's pancake day, and we made them look like...
Don't remind me, mate. It's already caused murder in my house here. There's a DIVORCE going on here, pal. I'm not smelling maple syrup anywhere. Let me just get around to this because I disagree with this. Hang on. No, it's too late now for pancakes, buddy, even for me. Said Philip Hunt, a regular on the channel, said, big up, lads. Great game. Definitely sloppy in defence. A better opponent would have beaten us. I have to say, I disagree with that, Jack. I don't think we were sloppy in defence at all. And look, of course, Philip, I appreciate the super chat, mate, and you're fully entitled to your opinion. But I thought we played with a swagger today, Jack, and I thought that was far more like the Liverpool that we're used to.
Yeah, absolutely, it was loads better. and you can't say that based on what we've all witnessed in the last few weeks. It was a lot better from this Liverpool side tonight, and that is the performance that we've wanted in the last few weeks. That's the performance we wanted for 90 minutes against City. That's the performance we wanted for 90 minutes against Leicester. And if we perform like that against Everton, we'll beat them comfortably.
Leipzig. Shout out to Woods, by the way, who bought himself an Anfield Agenda t-shirt, and it came yesterday, and he wore it today, and it was lucky. So you have to wear that every game now. That's the rule, Jack, isn't it? If you get a lucky top, it's got to be a lucky top. You got to wear it every game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I want to just mention real quick before we finish up or we start to round up, Barcelona against Paris Saint-Germain, mate. The other game that was on tonight. Obviously, we got to keep an eye on potential opponents down the line as well. But wow, 4-1. Mbappe hat-trick after a Messi penalty opened the score, and a Moise Kean with the other goal. That is some statement from PSG and Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, absolutely. For a team without Di Maria, a team without Neymar, of course, they've absolutely spanked them. And it makes you think about the future of Barcelona, the future of Messi at Barcelona. But for PSG, we've seen them take a significant lead into the second leg against Barcelona before, and the rest is history in terms of that. So the job for Pochettino and the Paris Saint-Germain lads now is making sure that you don't see a repeat of history in terms of that. But it's a big win for PSG. It's a big statement for them. They got to the Champions League final last year. They'll be wanting for more this season under Mauricio Pochettino, and it's a big statement tonight against a Barcelona side.
Just before we finish up, this is a really difficult question. I want to put it to the chat as well. Someone said to DM me on Instagram. I don't run the Instagram account, Connor does, Murray, but I will get him to have a look. Man of the match for you, Jack. It's a tough one because there's probably 6, 7, 8 contenders there, man. It's a very, very tough pick. That's why I'm putting the onus on you.
Yeah, Mo Salah was outstanding tonight. He looked really bright going forwards. I think he deserves a massive shout out. Going forwards, he was outstanding this evening. Curtis Jones, as I said, what a player, what a youngster. A lot of people compare him to Phil Foden, and that's why, he's not respected as much as he should be because, Phil Foden is on a different world. But Curtis Jones is still an incredible young talent and deserves respect because he's 20 years old and there's so much more to come from that lad. He's got so much to his game. Ozan Kabak, outstanding this evening. But for me, it's got to be the skipper, Jordan Henderson. His leadership at the back in a position that's not too natural for him. And his just all-round performance from him, I thought was outstanding tonight. And for me, man of the match is Hendo.
Connor's gone for Curtis Jones. A couple of people in the chat going for Bobby Firmino. Some people saying Kabak or Trent. This is the problem. There's so many. Well, I say problem. It's a first world problem to have so many great performances out there tonight that it really is a pick 'em. And I absolutely understand where you're coming from with Jordan Henderson because every time I seen a ball pumped into that box, it was his head that seemed to be on the end of it. It was him that was marshalling. It was him that was talking. It was him that was. I remember in the first half, one particular instance where Hendo was in possession, he received the ball from Alisson, and he wasn't happy that Robbo was 5 or 10 yards further forward than he wanted him, and he signalled him to get back into shape. He did marshal that team tonight. He was vocal tonight. The referee had an awful few shades of Mike Dean around him, didn't he? He was very enthusiastic, to say the least, Jack. And Thiago didn't get a yellow.
Yeah, European referees often are. We saw Lazar Markovic a few years ago get sent off for a bit of an eye poke that was, it was a farce. But I thought, the performance tonight from Jordan Henderson was phenomenal. And we've seen so often from him, the leader he is, what he brings to us, how much we've missed him in midfield with him being put at the back. But tonight, he was a real leader from the back, and he was exactly what we needed. He's, as I spoke before, I feel as though there's a real conversation that's needed about Jordan Henderson because the past few years, before the last few years, he was disrespected by many Liverpool fans, including myself, mate. The role he played in the Liverpool side in that midfield, it was a lot, backwards, sideways. But the transition from him now to how pivotal he is under Jurgen Klopp in this Liverpool side that has brought so much success in the last few years. When we don't see him in midfield, when we don't see him in the squad, we really miss him. And he's a huge player for us. In my opinion, one of our top 3 most important players in this squad. And tonight he showed his ability, he showed his leadership, he showed just how good and just how important he is. And, you know, he's so important for this Liverpool side. It was always going to be a tough task for him to fill in the shoes of Gerrard and feel that leadership as a skipper. And, you know, he got a lot of disrespect for him. But recently we are seeing Jordan Henderson at the peak of his game. And you know, he's so pivotal for us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call that one a night. I'm going to go dance in my kitchen for a few minutes because I feel so much adrenaline that I need to just go and release it somewhere. And I don't know, maybe I'll wake the wife up. I don't know. We'll leave it be. But look, Jack, as always, mate, an absolute pleasure to catch up with you. To everyone that's been watching, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video. Massive thank you and shout out to our sponsors, Boyle Sports, as well. And don't forget that Jack will be here tomorrow. Well, I say here, over on our second channel, Mundo Sporto, tomorrow for a watch along of Everton's game against Manchester City. I'll be chatting with HITC Sport, the Irish guy, tomorrow. Record that at 4 o'clock as well. Loads of great stuff coming up. Thogden and Thogdad's going to be on soon as well. Shout out to those guys, by the way. I had a call with Thogden today, and he is an absolute gent. Cannot speak highly enough of the fella. Look, ladies and gents, 2-0 win away from home in Europe. Nothing wrong with it. Up the Reds. Up the fucking Reds!